morning, y'all. Welcome to the first ever Technical Tuesdays for Global Cap FX. For those of you guys who have been following, I've had the tendency of doing weekly outlooks on Sundays. Now, what I would like to do from this point forward is actually start incorporating Tuesday analysis. And the reason why I want to do that is because, a lot of the time on Sundays and even occasionally on Mondays, the markets are really just moving slowly, or they're setting up for their true moves for the week. And, doing the analysis on Sunday is great. But when we're able to allow the market to really, you know, get boiled up, start getting hot before things actually start moving, then that'll give us an opportunity to look at the market right before, it's about ready to do its business. So that was what I had in mind. Over here, it's over in Phoenix, Arizona. It's a 5:40 in the morning. So excuse my monotone voice. Uh, so the goal here is, again, this isn't financial advice, but the ideas and the trades that I occasionally share, it's just entertainment and education. It just so happens to make me money. So take trades at your own risk. Take trades after doing your own analysis of my ideas and have proper risk management. It's the biggest thing. You can never go wrong if you have proper risk management. You can always bounce back from a loss. So don't put yourself in a situation where you cannot bounce back from a loss. Okay. So, I wanted to give you guys a general idea of what my mornings actually look like in in the middle of the week when the markets are open. And here's what it is. I usually uh, I usually wake up at around 4 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock, 4:30, give or take. And my first step in my process of getting ready to trade is meditating and thanking God for the day. Every single day, when I was a kid, I was trying to go play professional basketball, take care of my family. Every night, it was a ritual of saying my prayers, meditating, however you would like to explain it to yourself. Um, because everybody has their own believers and their own creator. And the way that you pray, aka meditate, is totally up to you. But I 1000% believe that if you put your energy in the right frame of focus, I believe that things can manifest for themselves for you. And that's really what I decided to do right in the beginning of the morning. Before I even touch my computer, I will turn on some gamma wave music. And for those of you guys who don't know what gamma wave music is, there are different wavelengths of music that help stimulate your mind as you start to do breath work, or if you put yourself in a state of prayer. Wave music actually, enhances the feelings or the emotions as you're going through that. If you're really doing it, uh, from a place in your heart, anybody can just, wake up in the morning and, slap a prayer together and, not really mean it to the most fullest extent of their being, and then just go about their day. But that's probably not going to have the best impact on you throughout your day. But when you put your heart and soul into anything that you do, whether it's trading, prayer, meditation, it's crazy how your day tends to go the right way, and the world and all of its distractions tends to get out of your way. So first things first, meditation. Uh, Next thing, I'll get in my element and start turning on some more productive music. I'll turn on my computer and start looking at trades. Okay. And by the time that's going on, I have my sweater on because I sleep in like 68-degree weather. One of the things that I learned about meditation and the chemicals in your body is that it's all electrical at the end of the day. So if I'm sure you've heard of, you know, cold therapy or cold plunging. Cold plunging, get in some cold water actually helps stimulate your nervous system. It increases your metabolism. It gives you energy in the morning. And that's just to name a few things. So, when I wake up in the morning, I put my hoodie on because the next step is getting in a cold shower. I want to warm myself up before I do that though. So I end up doing that, and by that point, maybe I'm in a couple of trades already, floating in profit. Maybe I'm in drawdown. Who knows? Because at the end of the day, like when it comes to trading, it can go either way. Again, you just got to stick to your disciplines. And yeah, so after I get out of my shower, I'll get ready, get dressed, and I will then get ready to go on my daily morning walk and read. And I live over here in downtown Phoenix, so it's a really nice area to sit, come around and walk. Uh, there's not really too much, not too much traffic. It's not like it's LA or anything. So, I could walk around with my head down in my book and, do that safely, and, read my books. And I have a couple of books that I have been reading. One of them was actually recommended by my partner. And this is actually my most favorite book that I've ever read. But it's quite interesting. And the reason why I feel like it resonates with me, because I didn't grow up with a father, so those fatherly examples, that husband example, that wasn't really around. So I kind of just learned on a whim from my environment. But one of the books that I'm reading is Let's Get Married, and Let's Get Married and Do Everything Except Make It Last. When I first received this book recommendation, I was hot. I was pissed because who would want to do this? Who would want to do this? But then maybe a month later, my irritable ass, I looked at the book cover again, and you realize that some of the words are bold printed. Let's get married and make it last. And I can't express to you enough, from wanting to be a leader of the people around me, not just relationship wise, but also just with the people around you. Just wanting to be a leader, want to be a man of purpose. That book has definitely helped realign me in some very special ways. I also have another book called John C. Maxwell, How Successful People Lead. And there's another book that I'm just now starting, but I'm not going to share that one yet. I'll share it once I'm further into the book. But yeah, man, at the end of the day, like if you set your day right from the get-go, going back to the whole, chemicals in the body, we go through daily stresses every single day, whether they're big or small. And the more and more we expose ourselves to those same stimuli that cause us to have those emotions, that cause those chemicals to be released in your body. So, i.e., maybe you're stressed out about your boss meeting that you have today, that you have every single week, and you're stressed out about that every single week. That releases that releases cortisol into your system. And if your body receives that frequently enough, if it is not controlled by your mind, then your second brain then becomes your mind, which is your body. You have your second brain is located in your central nervous system, or your sympathetic nervous system, and that's where your fight or flight comes into play. And if your fight or flight light switch remains on, then your body will just keep finding random scenarios to continue to release cortisol so it can continue to have that feeling of stress because your body becomes used to it. But if you put yourself in the state of mind where you let your body know that it is not control of how the way that you think, and your mind and the way that you think every single morning about your capabilities and your outlook on life and your vision of what you see for yourself. You start that morning you're that day every single day with the right intentions, and you put in the little task every single day, little by little, not really worrying about that home run hit or that grand slam or that half court shot, whatever analogy you want to use. You take it one step at a time. You chip away at your goals with the intent that you will get there because you're in control starting here in the morning. So that's my routine, guys. And then I'll go about my day job. I currently still work in tech sales until day trading becomes a full-time thing for me, which is not too far away. I have some very big goals set up, not only for myself, but also for my company and the students that are currently in it and those to come. So if you haven't yet, there's a free online course of Global Cap FX with a little bit of Cam Connects Corp. He has a couple of videos in there as well, chronologically structured for anyone who is brand new, wanting to learn how to trade on their own time, how to day trade. So take a look at the link below. All right, now that we're done with that, let's go ahead and get into some charts. Okay. All right. So what I've actually been looking at this week, first and foremost, is GBP AUD. Very curious about this pair to see what it's going to do from here. And the reason why is because, I preach all the time. I preach all the time the importance of understanding where your supply and demand zones are and your support and resistance price levels. And what I mean by that, price and resistance is your absolute high, your absolute low points where, price could potentially go. It might even break above it real quick and liquidate anybody's stops that are above the high or below the low, and then eventually it'll reverse. It's very important to know where your support and resistance is and your supply and demand. So what I see here on this pair, let me go ahead and go to my secondary list and do this markup. But what I see here is that your ultimate lows right there. Okay, we're currently in the weekly time frame. Over the span of 3 years, we've had wicks come down, spike down into this general area here, filling up a little bit more space from when this initially happened right here. So again, now we're here, present day. The last couple of months have shown they've shown that there is possibly some loss of strength in the market, and I'm just keeping an eye on it for it to go long again. So the last couple of weeks been able to make some good money on this. The market shot down here last week. Boom, made some money on that. Actually made money on this move going back up as well because, I had this anticipation that the market was really just setting up higher lows. We still don't know that for sure yet, but just taking a look at this general area right here, right there, um, we're we're back above this area here, and then as you can see, this wicks right here, here initially had trouble breaking through this level. Now we're back above it with price retesting the top side. So what used to be a resistance level is now a support level. So until it, shows me definitively that it's going to be breaking back below this line, retesting the area. Okay. Maybe doing something like that. Until it shows me something like that, I'm thinking long all day. So I'm currently in a trade right now, as you can see. Let me go ahead and take you back to my original post. I made an entry over here in this area around 174, 700 roughly, and I'm just waiting it out. This trade is currently at break even, so it's a risk-free trade. So if it decides to do something funky, I'll be totally okay, and I can just reset. But we'll see what happens here. Again, it's about supply and demand, support and resistance. Okay, so oops. So the way that I see it here is that right here in this area, for those of you who have not seen my previous videos on on institutional moves or order blocks, this zone right here is an order block, and at the same time, it could serve as a demand zone. Okay, so I'm acknowledging this right here as a zone of interest, where we could potentially see price go back to the upside. But again, it could come back a little bit further, with uh, this area still needing to be filled as a potential retest or a higher low. It could come back down, retest that area because the where I have my blue box now currently, you can see here that there's a little bit of area here where they could come down and refill and fill the area, aka retest. Now prior to that, you had your pin bar here, your pin bar being here. Okay, price started hovering, making a gradual descent, but eventually came back in, spiked up with this wick, spiked up. And then right before pushing to the upside here, right before pushing to the upside here, I just highlighted a wick that liquidated the previous wick. So some traders, retail traders, might look at this market and be like, okay, I see a wick right here, price pushed up, and a lot of them think it was off to the races right there. But lo and behold, price decided to come back down, come below the wick, where a lot of retail traders would decide to put their stop losses, and they took their money. And then literally an hour later, took off for 200 pips. That right there is a prime example of the market liquidating people's trades by stop loss hunting and then moving in the direction of its desires. And that's where we as traders need to understand that, the market is sometimes going to overextend itself for the prime purpose of collecting more money via stop losses, aka more volume, so that it has enough strength to go in the direction that it wants. So, at this point in time, I do see a buy set up in this pair here. So we will see what happens. Going into my next trade, I am paying attention to USD CAD and gold. One thing that I'm paying close attention to, you know, obviously, obviously price spiked down here, liquidated, liquidated this previous low here, and then came back in. Yes, even though price got liquidated here, and a lot of the time this will eventually reverse quite nicely, which it did. We need to understand that because this liquidation took place, it also serves as an opportunity for the market in the future to have a reason to start creating lower lows. So that penetration right there, in my opinion, is important. So you got to keep an eye out for that. Uh, Going back to the most, like the highest high up here, this this area right here is still the highest point. This one over here did not breach the high to the left. So in my opinion, that is a lower high. Or for those who like to look for double tops, that's a double top. Okay. So what I'm seeing here, there's two scenarios that I can see taking place here. By the way, there's interest rate news coming up, a lot of interest rate news coming up for the United States this week, tomorrow on Wednesday, the 15th. So if you're in any USD pair trades, just be aware. So what I'm seeing here is that price came up. Okay, price came up. Really, in my eyes, this wasn't really like a setup for a true reversal. This didn't really show me anything. Um, at the end of the day, it liquidated all this up here, came back above it, went back below. So this area right here might serve as the highest point. And right now, price in the daily is just looking to retest retest a line of supply, a supply zone. They're gonna looking to retest a supply zone where price can continue to push the downside. Now, looking here in the 4 hour, I see an order block here. Order block being this area here. Now, if price decides to honor this here, I want to see a setup somewhere in this general vicinity where price could be making a massive, massive push back down. We're looking at 400 pips going back towards previous lows. So I'm keeping an eye out for that. That's the first scenario. Now, looking at the weekly, yes, price has constantly been making higher highs and higher lows. Okay. So, if I was to mark it up real quick and highlight, like these are higher lows, and then these are higher highs. So in the weekly time frame, there's another order block right here that I would acknowledge as an area of interest. So price could come all the way back up here for another 185 pips at the least. and then at the maximum, maybe 400 pips. So like I said before, the sell could be looking for a 400 pip gain, and then the buy could be looking at a maximum 400 pip gain. What does that mean? That means we could be in the middle of something, like right in the middle. Okay. So being in the middle, if you're looking to get into a trade on USD CAD while you're in the middle of a scenario, not at the very top, not at the very bottom, you're in the middle. You got to get granular. You have to get into the smaller time frames and locate potential opportunities to get into a trade. Now, if you want to entertain this area that has not been filled yet, and when I say filled, there are no wicks in this part of the order block here. There's no wicks. So that right there, that filling of that area, that's called mitigation. So we would be looking for price to mitigate that area a little bit more, respect that absolute high that I have with this horizontal line, and then we would start looking for a setup. Whether you like to look for double bottoms, whether you like to look for a break and retest, that's totally up to you. But the first thing you want to be able to locate are those support and resistance, supply and demand zones. Supply and demand zones are usually where impulses take place. And as you can see here, price pushed down, and then after that push down out of this zone right here, okay, this used to be a floor for this area right here, used to be a floor. Broke through, retested, and then we had a push down. That's your impulse right there that you're looking for. So possibility there, or we could be looking to mitigate more of this area up here in the 133, 1.33 price. All right. So and then just finally taking a quick look at gold. Overall, I still want this to go back up. But there is a possibility that price could be it could be doing two things. It could be looking to fill some more space where correction hasn't happened yet, or this could be a double bottom setting up, getting prepared to go to the top. I'm not going to get into too much detail on that. I feel like the first two pairs that I showed you, I gave you a good amount of my technical analysis. Not all of it, but if you want to take a look a little bit deeper with some more repetition into my technical analysis, again, the Global Cap online course is totally free. You literally have no excuse as to why you shouldn't be learning how to trade. The world around us is constantly changing, okay? Jobs are being taken up by technology, artificial intelligence, like things are changing. And if you are not changing with the world, you're going to get left behind. Stay with the times. I remember when I was a kid, I always used to say that I will not be that I would not be that old head, that older person that doesn't know something about technology. I'm at least going to know about it. And if I know about it, then I can react to it to my benefit. So, trading, for example, if you're aware of trading and you haven't done your due diligence or even given it a chance to help make you a supplemental income, realizing that it doesn't take you more than an hour to find a trade and let it carry on the rest of the day without you worrying about it. Why haven't you done that? Income is not a bad thing. So if this is here, it's free. And me personally, I just want to help as many people as possible. Watch my videos, and you want to get a better in-depth illustration of how my mind works when looking at the market, make sure you look at the rest of my channel. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next.